Hey everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday evening edition of Weather for Weather Geeks. Another pretty good-looking day today, another fairly blustery day today. Pardon me. Although wind speeds and wind gusts today were not as high as they were on Monday. We had a gust of 42 miles per hour officially at the airport on Monday. Our top gust today was in the upper 20s and lower 30s, a noticeable breeze as expected. But overall, it wasn't bad. It was a little cooler than yesterday, a little bit sunnier than I thought it would be during the afternoon today. A lot of those clouds just went by to our south, allowing the temperature to rise into the upper 40s, but still about 3 degrees shy of the average, which is about 50 at this time of the year. So 47 in the record books today. And, March can be such a wild month. We've had all sorts of different regimes here in March. We had a high of 24 back on the 2nd. We had a high of 77 just 12 days later. On the 14th, we've had, everywhere in between. Now, for the month as a whole, factoring in both highs and lows, we're running about 5.5 degrees above the average. March is going to finish as a warmer than average month, standing in contrast, of course, to the winter season, and it's been a warmer than average month in most of the country with the exception of Florida and parts of the Southwest and California. Otherwise, it's been a pretty balmy month compared to the average, and that has allowed the spring leaf out to occur a little bit sooner than average, as spring has continued to make its northward progress. Starting to see buds and vegetation springing to life, especially south of Route 30, closer to Pittsburgh and I-70, down towards Zanesville and Cambridge. And all of this is ahead of schedule this far to the north. Spring was a little behind schedule for a while down in Charleston, West Virginia, D.C., Norfolk, Virginia, places like that, because, of course, it was pretty chilly when they typically see their leaf out in early parts of March, but the pattern has definitely warmed since then. Another way I like to look at the northward progression of spring, the hummingbird migration, and hummingbirds are being seen now as far north as Atlanta and Charlotte and Raleigh up towards Virginia Beach. I think we're about, maybe 3 weeks away from hummingbirds being a pretty common sight across eastern Ohio and western parts of Pennsylvania. Not a lot going on weather-wise on this Tuesday evening from coast to coast. Some flurries and snow showers moving through the Great Lakes. We might see a flurry here tomorrow. Otherwise, things are pretty quiet for now across the lower 48. But real quickly, to find some interesting weather, we're going to head out west, and looking at the water vapor imagery, we have a big powerhouse storm off the coast of the Pacific Northwest. As this moves closer to the coast tomorrow, it's going to produce a pretty unusual setup for the northwestern U.S. on Wednesday, a rare severe weather risk. With their Day 2 outlook today, the Storm Prediction Center did place parts of Washington and Oregon in the Level 2, slight risk of severe weather. I think I saw that in Seattle specifically, this is the first time they've been in a Day 2 slight risk or higher. I think hail could be especially prominent with any showers and thunderstorms that get going during the midday and afternoon, especially on Wednesday. The air aloft, very cold as that big trough moves overhead, and I think there could be some big hailstones in parts of the Pacific Northwest. So that'll be a little bit unusual for sure. What is in store for us on Wednesday? It's going to be a cold day overall. Temperatures will be no higher than the lower 40s. As this trough moves across, I'm not going to be surprised to see a couple of flurries in the mix. Now, there might even be some coatings on the grass closer to I-80 in northwestern PA, and especially north of I-80 up towards the Pennsylvania border. So think, Bradford, Pennsylvania, up towards Jamestown, New York. There's going to be some grassy surfaces that get covered, I think, and maybe even a slushy inch or two on some of the hilltops in this general area up here on Wednesday. In our viewing area, maybe you see a flurry before the morning is through. That should be about it. The sky will clear as we go into the afternoon. A clear, frosty, cold start to Thursday. We'll be well down into the 20s. Some of the really cold spots Thursday morning, the areas that typically run colder than others, you might see lows in the upper teens to around 20 first thing on Thursday. Despite some clouds filtering in for the second half of the day, it'll be a pretty nice afternoon on Thursday, noticeably warmer than tomorrow. And then here comes a warm front for Friday. Now, the timing of this is such that I think the highest chance for wet weather on Friday will be as we head towards lunchtime and into the afternoon. But this is a pretty strong warm front. And as it continues lifting northward, we're going to get firmly into a May-like air mass for the upcoming weekend. It'll come with largely dry weather on Saturday. There might be a shower on Saturday, especially in the afternoon, but I think we're going to have a lot of dry time to enjoy. Temperatures up around 70 or so on Saturday. Now, today the Storm Prediction Center did continue their outlook for Sunday. They shrunk the area down a little bit, but they did define a risk area here, a severe weather risk area on Sunday, roughly from, about, the Ohio Turnpike on south, especially from central and western Ohio on south. The risk right now is defined as lower in eastern Ohio and western Pennsylvania, and I still think that's generally the right idea. That being said, even though I think the risk is overall lower, I'm going to keep an eye on the trends. And, one period we're going to have to keep an eye on, I think, is Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. We may have some strong thunderstorms to contend with. But if the system continues slowing down on some of the modeling, a lot of the moisture may wait until later Sunday night into Monday morning. That would be a less favorable time for us to have any sort of mischief with severe weather. With their Day 7 outlook today, they did include a severe weather risk defined from Virginia Beach and the Delmarva Peninsula on down into the Carolinas and parts of Georgia and northern Florida as well. The roller coaster ride continues for the next 10 days. 11 below the average tomorrow, almost 20 degrees above the average over the weekend, especially on Saturday. But then here comes the chill again early next week as we round out March and head into the first 2 days of April, expecting below average temperatures by a handful of degrees. We didn't get to talk about the Climate Prediction Center forecast for the month of April. They put that out on Friday when I did not do weather for Weather Geeks, and this is their temperature outlook for the month. You'll notice across the lower 48 states there are no cooler than average areas defined on the map here. A lot of equal chances of cooler and warmer than average temperatures in kind of this neutral shade through here. Warmer than average month most favored in the southern U.S. and along the East Coast. Here locally, I think after we shake the chill after the first couple of days of April, I would expect a turnaround for a while. It may then turn cooler again as we head towards mid-month. Maybe another fairly back and forth month, kind of in the same spirit as March, but April, of course, climatologically speaking, is a warmer month than March, so the cool days in April may not be as cool as some of the chilly days we've had so far in the month of March. So, yeah, spring in eastern Ohio and western PA, sometimes it's just going to be a real up and down pattern. Grab the Dramamine. All right, that'll do it for me on this Tuesday evening. Have a great rest of your night. Let's meet back here on Wednesday for an update on the weekend forecast and much, much more.